Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the South Kesteven series, 83 parishes surrounding the town of Grantham in southern Lincolnshire, which are full of history. Let's check one of them out. Welcome back to South Kesteven once again, folks, and again to another place which is not far away from the town of Newark. This is another one that has a church with a very tall spire, which I'm about to show you right now. Just turn the camera around. There it is. There is the church with the spire pointing up into the rainy heavens. You'll find that one in the parish of Fenton. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. For the second time on the channel and for the second time in Lincolnshire, welcome to a place with the name of Fenton. This one lies close to the border between South Kesteven and North Kesteven, just to the north of Stubton. Fenton derives its name in exactly the same way as its West Lindsey counterpart, which we covered absolutely ages ago. It means farmstead in a fen or marsh, and that makes sense because the parish covers about 1,230 acres of low marshy land. For a long time, Fenton was the seat of the Lucas family, who lived at Fenton Hall, now more commonly known as the Old Hall. The hall is by far Fenton's biggest and most historic feature. It stands in front of the church and dates back to 1507, making it the oldest residential property in the village. The church is pretty impressive as well for such a small place. Its tall crocketed spire gives the village a focal point, and it was thoroughly restored by the Lucas family in the late 1800s. Other than those two buildings, Fenton is residential. It occupies one long street with some residential offshoots, all of varying age. In general, it's just a quiet little village which happily minds its own business in the Lincolnshire countryside. But you do have to be careful when you drive into it. There's a pond at its southernmost extent, which has a family of ducks who like to go for a wander. I reckon we should too, so let's get our boots on and off we go. Our start point for this short walk around Fenton is the village pond, where there's a resident family of ducks. The pond is directly in front of the old hall, and these are its gates. This will be our finishing point later, as we'll need to walk through it. First of all, though, we're going up Main Street. Fenton is a simple village. It's one straight road with a series of offshoots on both sides. On the only bend in the road is Corner Cottage. This and its attached barn are 18th century and they're Grade 2 listed. In terms of listed buildings, Fenton has 4 in total, 3 Grade 2 and 1 Grade 1, and we'll see 3 of them on this route. Here's the parish notice board, where I tried to be a little clever at first by attempting to wedge my card behind this taped-on key. However, that didn't work, so instead I opted for the more conventional method. 9 down and 74 to go in South Kesteven. We're about to turn onto Pump Lane, the name of which implies Fenton's water-bearing device was close by. If it was, it no longer stands. This house had a name that made me laugh. It's called Latte Lodge. I'm guessing its owners must like a bit of milky coffee. Halfway up the lane are some gates which say danger, keep out, but that's as much as I can tell you about what's behind them. Okay, at the end of Pump Lane there's meant to be a little footpath of some description, but I can't find it. It should be here on the left, virtually opposite the gate that said danger, keep out. There's no way marker anywhere, which is what I've been looking for. So I'm a bit stuck, quite frankly, unless it's through there, but I very much doubt that, because on my map this little opening on the left is after the footpath, so it should be here in theory, but I can't find it. So I'm gonna have to go back the other way, which is a little bit annoying because now it means this route is no longer a circle, because the idea was the path was to connect me to the next street over, to then come back down the main road, but I can't do that now, so I'm gonna have to go back down Pump Lane. That's very, very unfortunate. These things happen. This is where the path should have come out, at the end of Coppice Close, a brand new development further up Main Street. Generally speaking, this northern end of the village is almost like Fenton's newest part. Most of the housing up here is 20th century. Fenton has quite a close-knit community. In fact, the residents here have been quite happy of late to get together for things. There was a street party for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee and a second one for the coronation of King Charles III. Of course, Fenton is way too small to support any notable amenities. It's never had a school, nor has it ever had a pub. Now we're approaching the church though. To get to it, you have to walk up the drive of the old hall, which may be a little confusing. This passes the pond again, and it looks like it should be private property, but I guess the owners have to allow access to the church. The Old Hall, alternatively named Fenton Hall, is the oldest residential property in the village. It dates back to the 16th century. Grade 2 listed parts of it burned down in the 18th century, and traces of the damaged walls and windows can still be seen at the rear. And once through the Old Hall, you're then at the church, which you can see behind me. So this is our last major landmark on the walk around, and I think I have saved the best until last, haven't I? Beautiful church. Let's talk a bit more about it. Fenton's Parish Church is the last of the listed buildings on this route, and it's the only one of the four which is Grade 1. Dedicated to All Saints, this one has a fine embattled tower and a Norman two-bay north arcade. Its chancel is an 1830s rebuild. Built of stone, mainly in the decorated and perpendicular styles, this has a northern chantry chapel, a nave, aisles, and a south porch. The tower, topped with a crocketed spire and pinnacles, contains 3 bells, 2 of which bear the dates 1569 and 1627. In 1875, the church was thoroughly restored at a cost of £800. This included the renewals of its stalls and the stall ends. Unfortunately, the door was locked, so no luck as far as the interior goes. It remains, though, a great church externally. Something curious I noted was that the churchyard is completely free of headstones, until I noticed them all lining the walls. To finish with, I opted to record the walk from the churchyard back to Main Street via the Old Hall as one continuous shot. I found this to be an effective way to show you a bit more of the area this sits in. The Old Hall was for a long time the seat of the Lucas family. It was they who restored the church in 1875. The Lucas family no longer occupy the hall. It was sold to the Thirlbys, who would then pass ownership to the Codds. After the fire, which burnt down part of the original hall, its remains were converted into the farmhouse you see here today, which overlooks the pond and the drive that leads back out to the road. Let's walk that drive back to the start. That's it for Fenton, folks, and we've now covered both Fentons in Lincolnshire. This drive out takes us over the district boundary from South Kesteven into North Kesteven, as it's the road to Beckingham and the A17. I'll be back to South Kesteven again soon, but for now, that's another little run over. See you later. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.